Well, the whole idea of no double episodes lasted an entire 2 games. But before I say anything else, I want to get into this. Stempniak and Lyles were hardly the ideal pickups at the deadline that we were all hoping for. And while I'm still concerned over Bruins management handing out draft picks like candy, the 2 trades have already done what we all knew they would, and that is make this team better. Stempniak started off his Bruins career nicely against Calgary, standing up for Bergeron in the scrum, and he only got better against the Blackhawks with 2 assists in that game, those coming on his line mates' goals, Bergeron's 25th and Marchand's 33rd. Lyles, 1 point thus far, but his presence has been immense. He's exactly what we've all been begging for in a defenseman. Now, you could argue whether or not Colin Miller is going to turn into this role, but regardless, Lyles is a strong skater who's responsible with the puck and even more responsible defensively thus far. He's what we wanted Kevin Miller to be coming into the season. Hell, at this point already, I wouldn't be against him pairing up with Chara on the top defensive pairing. Now sure, having Lyles and Chara on paper, Lyles 35, Chara 38, as your top pairing would normally be a warning sign. That would normally really draw concern. But I'm impressed with Lyles thus far. Again, it doesn't scream top pair, but when the Bruins lack a guy who can play that role for one reason or another, whether that be trades or the lack of a truly ready prospect, you have to go with what you have. Speaking of trades, Dougie Hamilton returns to Boston for the first time. He said after the game that it was, quote, pretty cool, that he has a lot of good memories and that it was fun. Well, he was booed out of the building every time he touched the goddamn puck, and I wish that could have been a truly satisfying feeling, but it wasn't. I was actually pretty sad more than anything. Dougie, while he might not turn or have turned into a top 2 defenseman, essentially Chara's replacement, like we all hoped he would be, he's meant to be, or was meant to be, a staple on the Bruins defense for the next decade. And for it to not work out that way, yeah, it still hurts a little bit. Now, whether he left because he was uncomfortable in the locker room, he wasn't happy living in Boston, or if you even believe the rumors of him being pissed off that the Bruins didn't trade for his brother Freddie, it hurts regardless. And it's gonna hurt until we know what exactly Zachary Senshin, Jakob Forsbacka-Karlsson, and Jeremy Lauzon turn into. And sure, they've all been pretty impressive so far, now that they're under the microscope, now that they're Bruins property, but it's impossible to tell if even one of them will turn into a player of Dougie's caliber. Now, as for the games itself, of course, starting off with Calgary, Noel Acciari, I always pronounce it Acciari, apparently it's Acciari or Acciari, whatever. He made his NHL debut, and he didn't look out of place. He now joins the long list of Bruins prospects who are on the bubble, who are so close to being a full-time NHLer, and it sucks because you know not every one of those players will crack the NHL full-time with Boston. Rask with a 24-save performance, absolutely crucial through the first 2 periods as the Bruins barely put 10 shots on net. Huge saves against Sean Monahan, and Mikael Backlund kept this team in it. They were outshot 8-5 in the first period, but they not only survived, they took the lead on a beautiful goal 7 minutes in as the newly demoted Brett Connolly grinded it out on sideboards. Krug digs it out and hits Landon Ferraro in front, fires it past Yanni Ordio with a slap shot, his 5th goal of the season, and again, more than happy with him on the 4th line, and again, he was a waiver pickup. Just give Don Sweeney his props for that one. Nothing really happening in the second period, but Jakob Nakladal, or Nakladal, however you want to pronounce it, would tie it in the 3rd period, a blast from the point that beat Tuukka, his first career NHL goal, and Jyrki Jokipaka's first point as a Calgary Flame. For the Bruins, Captain Clutch came to play, a bench minor for too many men on the ice, puts the Bruins on the power play, and they deliver. Bergeron gets his 24th of the year for the game winner. Of course, the power play has been struggling. They got it done here, and I have to note this as well. Ryan Spooner with his 32nd assist of the year. Absolutely unreal, and it's been amazing to watch his transition this year for him to finally be that full-time guy. He was one of those bubble players for a long time. Krejci would get his 35th assist on the year as well, and the Bruins win 2-1 over Calgary. Now the Chicago game. The Bruins, with a relatively good record against the Hawks as of late in the regular season. We're not going to talk about the playoffs. Chicago, though, on fire away from the United Center. Now, I don't care that the Hawks played the night before, had to travel, etc., etc. The Bruins beat the Blackhawks. I can say that. Do I say it knowing that it was a little bit easier of a win than it would have been had they had Crawford in net, had they not played the best team in the Eastern Conference the night before? Of course. But they won, goddammit, and they did it in the Winter Classic jerseys. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Tuukka Rask with another big performance, 25 saves, as the Bruins win consecutive home games for the first time since December 20th, for Christ's sakes. And the team itself collectively played great hockey. Jonathan Toews said it himself after the game. The Bruins had speed, which has been their kryptonite for God knows how many years now. They had the physicality, the defense was there, the counterattack was there, defense to offense capitalizing on their chances. It was just a wonderful game. They counteracted their poor first period performance against Calgary, and they were handling the Hawks in terms of shots for most of the first period. Patrice Bergeron would strike first, 1:18 into the game after a gritty effort in the offensive zone, his 25th of the year. Lyles would get the breakout pass to Bergie. He swats it out to Stempniak. It ends up on Marchand's tape. Bergeron gets it and gets the wraparound goal. A beautiful, nearly full team effort, and the perfect way to start a game against a tired team, as the Garden was still filling in. A lot of people missed that first goal. They wouldn't miss the next one, though. Jonathan Toews would tie it on the power play. New Hawks, Ehrhoff, and Ladd. Ladd doing his best Louis impression with the screen in front. They get the assists on Toews' 23rd of the year. However, the Tides turned with 22 seconds left in the first period. Brad Marchand's 33rd of the year, sniping it past Scott Darling after a slick pass from Lee Stempniak, and the Bruins would lead this one for the rest of the game. Ryan Spooner gets a power play goal 5 seconds into the man advantage in the second period. Louis does what he's been doing all season long, gets the screen in front. Spooner with the slap shot after a quick pass from Krug. He buries it, 3-1. Great to see the power play goal. Of course, it's been trailing off for the last month and a half. They've dropped now to the league's 8th best unit after being nearly first and second for essentially the entire season, but the talent is still there. Louis would shockingly make it 4-1 after a penalty kill. Lyles with an amazing cross-crease pass and a beautiful finish from Eriksson. Another new Hawk, though, Thomas Fleischmann, would make it 4-2 at the end of the second period. Wouldn't matter in the long run. Scoreless in the third. The Bruins win it 4-2. Claude Julien ties Art Ross with his 387th career win as Bruins head coach. They sit third in the Atlantic with 78 points in 65 games. They are 2 points back of Tampa and Florida, although both those Florida teams have a game at hand. So say what you want about the weakness of the Atlantic Division this year. You know, there's not a Washington, there's not a Chicago at the top of the standings, but the Bruins are absolutely in this. They have Detroit hot on their tails. It's going to be a crazy ride to the finish, and let's just hope that they learned from last year's mistakes down the stretch and can make the best out of this miserable schedule here in March. Next up, speaking of Washington, a crucial home game for the Bruins against the Caps before they face a Mount Everest-size challenge. Back-to-back games against both Florida teams, of which, as I mentioned, the Bruins are just 2 points back of each. Jonas Gustafsson will undoubtedly get one of these games, and it will be his most important start of his young Bruins career. And after that, hey, we get a nice mid-month road trip facing the group of death in California, Anaheim, LA, and San Jose. Fucking hell. This is a schedule that would test any team, and this is going to be probably the defining month, the defining 2 or 3 weeks of this season as a whole. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you hung around to the end. I do appreciate it. As always, drop a like down below if you've enjoyed. Subscribe for more recaps after every single game eventually. Of course, the Calgary one is just a little bit late, but I will see you all next time after the Washington game. This is going to be an exciting and nerve-wracking month for the Bruins. I will see you all next time.